Hey, Josh Tigg, Running T Farms, morning cattle move here. Thought I would do a video this morning on some things that I like to look at every morning when I come to move the cows, give them their first break. So this is the time of day that I like to see what kind of graze we've got as far in terms of harvest efficiency, because this will be a full, a 24-hour period here. So sometimes when we come out and you just look at those, the first and the second, third break of the day, you think, wow, I didn't really get as good a harvest efficiency as I wanted to there. So you may think that you've given the cattle too much, but you need to make these assessments after a full 24 hours of grazing. Yesterday when I was out here, there was a good bit more left behind that needed to be grazed. So they've come back overnight and they've grazed that off. So you can see very, very good harvest efficiency here on this, probably in the 85-90% range. You can see that the manure's looking pretty good. We always tend to see some that looks a little bit like this first thing in the morning out of some of the cows, and that's simply because they've come back in the night and they've grazed some of this higher fiber forage in the night, and they're going to make that manure stack just a bit. But you don't want to see a tremendous amount of that just on some animals. So I like to check the harvest efficiency to make sure that we're getting what we need. I like to look at the manure, make sure that we've got good manure consistency. And then I like to check the cow's gut feel. And if you will see, if I can get on this girl right here, she's a little bit sunken in. Here's another one, a little bit sunken in, more than I like. So that tells me that I probably didn't quite give them enough grass yesterday. I just moved these cows so that they wouldn't be bawling around while I'm trying to film. If you can see this cow, she's too empty. You can see this cow here, too empty this morning. So that means I just simply didn't give them enough grass. And some cows will if you notice this one here, she's still nice and full. This one here is still pretty nice and full. I would say that I've been walking around here just on average, probably, 50% of these cows' bellies this morning, are a little bit less than what I would like to see at the first break of the day. Then you've got some like this one that's still nice and full. You can see a lot of these over here still nice and full. So we did not hardly allow enough grass yesterday to adequately feed our herd. So I will adjust the size of these paddocks today. And as you can see here, we've got an odd shaped field here. Rather than really split it up, I'm gonna have two larger breaks today anyway. This field narrows back down on that end. We're at the very widest point now. So rather than try to split this up to keep the stock density up real high, I just opted to we're gonna have two this break, and the next break will be a little bit larger than ideal. I don't know, stock density here is probably 300,000 pounds to the acre, maybe a little less actually. It will increase as it goes throughout the day as the field narrows back down. But if we make a mistake like this, it's not the end of the world. We just need to correct that. One day of shorting your cattle just a little bit on the amount of feed that you put on offer is not a big deal, as long as we correct that the next day and the days after that. We can't short our cattle every day like I did yesterday. As you can see, this cow here, she's a little more empty. I mean, not crazy empty. They're just, I like to see these cows, I like to, in a perfect situation, I like to see harvest efficiency like that. So you can see here, you know, there's a lot of forage over here, a lot of green in it, but also a lot of brown. If we, like I said in the previous video, if we allowed the cattle just to selectively graze this, they would just come eat this green grass. They would leave the brown. Too high protein, too low a fiber diet. The cows would scour, you know, instead of having nice manure like that, that'll actually have some form, it would just look like green water. And that would be from mechanical diarrhea, just imbalance of protein to fiber and very high water. And the cattle simply scour just due to the fact of there's not enough fiber in the forage. So it's not, of course, bacterial or viral. It's just mechanical diarrhea, and that causes health issues for the cattle. It causes low conversion efficiency, all those things we don't want. So, but like I said, not a big deal if we correct that today. So we've seen that we did not hardly give them enough forage, so we're going to correct that going forward today. And in a perfect situation, we would see harvest efficiency like this. And I would like to see the cows rumen on the left side when I come out here in the morning, you know, probably what I would call like 80% full, 70–80% full. And there's very few cows out here right now that have what I would consider 70–80% full rumen this morning. This girl here is, well, she's even a little less. We just simply didn't give the cows enough forage last night. So we're going to correct that, or yesterday. Now there's one that's probably 70–80% full. So we want to make sure when we come out here in the morning that these cows are still mostly full. You know, they need to be 75–80% full, and we need to have a harvest efficiency that looks like this, ideally. And you can see we've grazed this. There's the crowns of the grass. It's maybe an inch long. Very high harvest efficiency, which is exactly what we're after. But always focus on your cows, not your harvest efficiency to a point. We have to keep the cows full and in good body condition. As the genetics improve, you can dial down the grazing a little bit more. I've made that mistake myself, and it's through a situation like this, if you're not careful, you really get focused in on that beautiful manure and urine distribution all the way across there. Really nice high harvest efficiency grazing. And if you take your eye off the cattle too long, if I continue to do across the next several days what I did yesterday, our cattle would be losing weight every day, and we can't have that. We have to keep our cattle in good body condition, and you do that by monitoring these three things every day. Two things really: consistency of the manure and the degree of gut feel in the morning when you're ready to start the day's grazing again. If we come out here in the mornings after a full 24-hour period and our cattle are not, you know, it's okay for them to be just a bit empty, hungry, ready to start grazing, but they do not need to look like this cow here. This is if I continued to do this day after day, even though when I was here yesterday evening, the cows were nice and full going into this last break, and I thought, well, everything's good, they're nice and full, we're going to give them a whole nother break here, so we'll be good. When I got here this morning, I don't know if there was a little less forage in the break than I had estimated or what, but we have to make sure that we're keeping our cattle fed. that's the rumen fill every day, and that the quality of the feed is sufficient for the class of animal that we're grazing and the stage of production they're in, i.e. lactating cows, dry cows, whatever. So our manure consistency is good. We simply didn't give them enough grass. So we've fixed that, and we're going to keep moving forward. So make sure that you're monitoring that stuff every day. You have to monitor that every day. So I'd like to mention again, come join us for the North Carolina Foraging Grasslands conference, spring conference in Iredell County. Be on April the 29th. We'll be talking about all things non-selective grazing, and got plenty of time for questions, and I encourage everybody to come out if they can. I'll put the registration link in the video description. Hope to see everybody there. As always, you can check us out online at runningtbeef.com. You can like us on Facebook at Running T Beef. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure and click that like and subscribe button on your way out, and everybody have a fantastic weekend.